so let's look at the statements. Usually what I think is easiest is, because we know, again, of these 4, 1 is a lie and the other 3 are true. So it could be this one's true and these 3 are lies. It could be this is a lie, these 3 are true. Any of those combinations could exist. So what I usually do is I start from the top and assume truth, and then kind of figure out, can I find the lie in the remaining ones? So let's do that here. So assuming a poison goblet was not in the Great Hall. So poison goblet, not in the Great Hall, which would put it in the Spooky Woods. Okay, so that I think is all we're gonna get from that for now. I don't want to fill out too many additional pieces until we know this for sure, just so we don't have to uncheck a bunch of things. So let's just keep it in this top grid for now, because that will still be very informative. All right, so let's then look and see what we need these to do. Is we need to be able to find a lie in each of these now, in one of these now. So again, let's start with assuming they're all true and kind of going down and eliminating. So let's assume Judge Pine was the bringer of the ancient plague. So we'll go ahead and make those marks there. And then we've got these 2 left for these 2 locations and items. So Coach Raspberry and Mixed Tangerine. All right, so if we assume Coach Raspberry was telling the truth, they were in the Great Hall, that means that they had the ancient tome, which would mean that Mixed Tangerine had the goblet. So let's check this out. So Coach Raspberry was in the Great Hall with the tome, and that's not going to work, because what we've just found is if we, again, if we're assuming if this is true, we need one of these remaining 3 to be a lie, but we were just able to complete this grid with all of these being true, right? So it's saying Coach Raspberry brought a heavy tome, and there's Coach Raspberry with the heavy tome. Coach Raspberry was in the Great Hall, and there's Coach Raspberry in the Great Hall. Judge Pine with the ancient plague, and that's also able to be true. So what that tells us is we have not found the lie, and we need to kind of reevaluate. So let's now start with assuming this is the lie and see where we get. So I'm going to undo these. I'm going to keep this true, kind of go back down the line. So let's see. We got to keep the goblet where it's at. And so Coach Raspberry, let's take out info on Coach Raspberry and Mixed Tangerine. We are going to leave the information here. Okay, so that clears that out, and I think we can leave these in place, because that's just from this first one, which we're keeping true. So now let's say a judge would never lie. I brought an ancient plague. So let's say the judge did not bring the ancient plague. All right, so that would mean, let's see. I don't think that gives us any additional information for now. Okay, so if that's the lie, then let's assume these 2 are true. So I was in the Great Hall. So that's true by our assumption. Okay, and that, I believe, will work. So we've got, if this is the lie, they brought the ancient plague. No, they did not. So that means, let's see, that can be true, or the lie can be correct, right? In the Great Hall is true. In the Great Hall, Coach Raspberry brought an old heavy tome, and Coach Raspberry brought an old heavy tome. That is it. So that was pretty quick, just kind of going down the line there. We can sometimes be able to identify where to focus based on if we see things that immediately contradict each other. In this case, it was kind of just luck of the draw. But yeah, usually if you go through kind of line by line, it's easier to kind of figure out what would be the issue. So that's great. We were able to then find the lie pretty quickly. Let's say that hadn't been, what I would have done next is assume this is true, and then assume this was the lie, and then assume this was true, and see if that would work. The solution, there's only one solution, so you can go through each of these and you will be able to eventually find it. But it's helpful also if this is, especially if you're doing maybe on mobile, it's helpful sometimes just to have scratch paper so you can kind of sketch out what it may be. In this case though, we're pretty lucky, so let's go ahead and fill out the rest of the grid. Technically you don't have to, but I just think it's kind of fun. So we've got Coach Raspberry in the dining hall, and they wanted to see what it felt like to kill. That one always is, I think, the worst one. It kind of spooks me. Okay, so then we've got Judge Pine had the goblet, and they were in the spooky woods, and they wanted to silence a witness. Okay, great. Great. And we've got woods. Great. All right, everything matches, everything matches. All right, so that's the grid all filled out. Again, totally optional. I just really like having it all finished. So kind of coming back here, we know this was true, this was true, and this was true. So this was our lie. Judge Pine was our liar, which means Judge Pine was our murderer today. So we've got Judge Pine with the poisoned goblet in the spooky woods to silence a witness. So Judge Pine, poison goblet, spooky woods to silence a witness. Now we can make our accusation, and we were right. Awesome. So that was Murdle for February 24th, 2024. Judge Pine with a poison goblet in the spooky woods to silence a witness. Hope you enjoyed.